Mario. It's like 3, 2, 1, go. Or Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, where it was like twang, dun, dun, dun. It was doing the pod races, all that stuff. Hope you're doing good. We're gonna try some new blends. New to me. Thanks to Mr. Hillbilly Piper. And I have a tiny bit of All Fired Up, which is my Old Dark Fired blend from May of 21. The last little bit of that one. I do have some that's a bit older, but I want to leave it longer. Dark Lord, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. Man, this is still warmer than lukewarm. And it's been in this container for like 13 hours or something. Well, when did we put it in?
Like 10:30.
Okay. I was thinking, oh no, you didn't. Nah, I was thinking 7. I was mixing days. 10:30. Okay, fine. 10 and a half hours in. That's still really good. You're giving me flack. Excellent coffee. Oh, it's going good. Good to see you, Hillbilly. Oh, I do have to check. I have to check email. Just making sure I don't miss anything. Okay, good. It's been good. I got work on 2 stems done. I'm so close on both of them. I butted up the billiard stem and sanded with the shank. It's awesome. And Joel's stem is over halfway done. I have to still do the bending and a little bit more shaping. I'm just taking my time to do it really precise, but it's going pretty quickly actually anyway. And it's gorgeous. And if Joel sees this, I can't wait for you to get your pipe. But I've got some blends and some pipes in here. And this awesome t-shirt. I'm sure it's legitimate safety, but it feels like a retirement t-shirt. Stop Work Authority program. I like that. That's awesome. Safety always. Can't get hurt if you aren't doing it. RD, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Mabu's had a good day. Other than the temperature, now, see what it is now. It's cold. It was -6 at supper. Hold on. It's -8. Hey, Smarty Bob, how you doing, brother? It's -8. So that's pretty good. It's only gone down 2 degrees from supper till now. And you guys know my dogs. Well, they lost the argument tonight. They're staying in. But they won the argument with the garage because it's warm in there. It's 55 in there right now, and it will not get lower than 55 in there. So it is awesome. But they wanted to play in the snow. And I let them play in the snow but I'm not letting them stay out there. They're in. They're good. They're hanging out. They're warm. They're all happy. They had snacks. I don't even get snacks anytime I want. I gotta watch them. Thank you, Michael. Good to see you again and welcome in. Bob, how you feeling, bud? Someday Phil's going to be in here and I have a very special picture to put up here for him, but he has not been in here. So I can't do that. It'd be harmless. It'd just be something like this, you know. Crazy red-eyed rooster. Ordered some haunted bookshop cake. Nice. I have a feeling you will love it. It's better than haunted bookshop on its own. I don't know how the cake is of the official kind, but I tried some of Hillbilly's pressed and made haunted bookshop cake, and that was really, really great. That surprised me how good that was. It was everything I hoped and more. You can't say that a lot about a lot of things. I told you, honey, that I was going to have a bad time speaking. I have been mixing up words all evening. It's been really weird. I don't even remember what I was talking about earlier. I was talking about shaking something up, and it was like supposed to do something so it wouldn't get shaken up. I don't know. It was weird. Todd, good to see you. I smoked some Solani 779, which was really good. Excellent blend. Well blended. Definitely. May not be for everybody, but I think most people will like it. Most pipe smokers will like it. But it was blended very well. Thank you. Yeah. If I had anything to complain about today, it better wait till tomorrow. I know. I used some cotton bacon in my lighter here, so we're going to test it. I topped it off today. I was going to say, I was going to wait to top it off till it fully ran out, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to use it during my live. So I topped it off this time. Okay, we've got Seattle Evening. We'll start with that. We got Seattle Evening or House Reserve. What should we go with? I'm grateful you're doing great, Bob. See, then Donnie popped up, so I almost said Donnie. But I'm glad you're doing great too, Donnie. The House Reserve is a Cavendish Burley, Virginia. And this is English Oriental. A beguiling blend of Latakia, Turkish Orientals, and Red Virginias. Both sound good. Both will get smoked. It's just depending on the order. Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm excited to see because it could make a big difference. And here, like, just little Bic lighters are really, really expensive. So you're better off with something like this or matches, one or the other. They're not far off. So if I could make this more efficient, it would be, I don't know, probably more efficient than matches. It depends on the day. Some days I take 5 matches to light a pipe, and other days it takes me 1. But if you go through 10 matches a day, you figure I don't know, 20 matches a day. So that's 10 days, roughly, in matches in a box. So we'll see. Oh, absolutely, Hillbilly. Brian is here. Man, it is great to see all you guys. All right, so we've got House Reserve, or did I set it down? My brain is making me set things down to be organized. There it is. Seattle Evening. What should we go for? Piper Wondering. Good to see you as well, sir. How you doing? Chomping on dinosaur kale like popcorn as I watch. Hey, it's good stuff for you. Seattle Evening. I'm anxious to try either one. Oh, here we go. That's 2 for Seattle Evening. We'll try it. We'll try it. If it's terrible, we'll blame anybody who isn't here. I would like to see some more honest reviews where they're like, this and this tobacco. When they're given the description, you know, and they're like, a subpar tobacco blend made up of mostly cheap components that tastes like garbage, but we really want you to buy it and like it. DDT, stopping in for a second before I watch a movie with the kids. Awesome. Thank you for thinking of us. Are you going to do a live where you're watching the movie so we can watch it with you on a separate device? Well, that is some kind of wonderful. Privateer. I want to say I've tried some Privateer. Oh, nice. Dan is watching Tom and Jerry the movie with his kids. Good for you, man. Watch the old stuff. Don't even introduce them into anything new. It's all worthless. This is really nice. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it. It's got this slightly fruity kind of note. I guess in the nose note, the bowl note, whatever you'd call it. It's kind of like it's a Balkan that's dipping its toes into becoming an English. I'd say it's like the closest or one of the closest blends that a Balkan could be before going to like White Knight. Like just barely on the edge before going to Englishes. Nice flavor. I'd say like a medium blend, like not harsh, not too light on, not skimping on the flavor. It's kind of like there's a little sweetness. I think, did we see Virginia in there? I think we did. You can taste the sweetness from right away when you're lighting it too. Yeah, red Virginia, Turkish Orientals and Latakia. Orientals and Latakia. The sweetness is right there on the tip of the tongue. It's really good. Piper wondering, this is Seattle Evening. I'm going through some new blends, or new to me, courtesy of Hillbilly Piper. I did do I had a habit. I'm used to not having a lighter on me. It's always in the shop or somewhere. What's great is every time you light it, because I'm just talking too much to. There we go. Every time you light it, where you would get a harshness from red Virginia, you might get a like tip of the tongue tickle, but there's sweetness with it. So you're kind of like, hey, this is nice. The slower you smoke it, the more it's like a Balkan. The hotter it gets, it's more like a Virginia Oriental. That's pretty good. Nice, light, but very smooth retrohale. This is my Sabanelli saxophone. And yes, I fell for that lucite. I couldn't help it. Celebrate with that blend. Heck yeah. Yeah, thank you. Now this one's pretty good. I'll get a rubber band though. I've got one in the shop, but I'm not going back out to that shop because it is cold out. Usually our wind comes from the north a little bit to the west, but it's very rare. It's coming from the southwest. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to when you go around the corner and you get close to the shop, the wind comes at your face. So I duck down and I've got my 3 hoods on. It's no big deal. But when I left the shop, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is weird." I don't know why. I'm so used to the wind. It's such a weird winter. It's never been, that I can remember, been like this, been this snowy for over 5 weeks nonstop. Is crazy. Like always snow on the ground for that long is so rare. I am sorry again for the loss, Michael. You know, I'm sure there are people that always think something, The way I look at it, having gotten to know you, there we go. I got those words out. I'd say it's What do you do? What do you do? Somebody passes. There's no good coming from the passing, other than maybe they're out of out of pain, or I don't know the circumstance. Um, but it's never a gain. So if anybody gives you flack, oh, you got this stuff when he passed. Well, it's still never a gain. Sure, you like the stuff. Everybody appreciates the stuff. It's who it's from. I have stuff from each of my grandpas. But the stuff is tied to that's my grandpa. That was his. He wore that or he used that. And sure, at the end of the day, it's just stuff. But yeah, I know what you mean. What I'm trying to spit out if it's not coming out right. I think it's awesome. He thought so highly of you guys to want to share his items with you. I think that's very special. So I know what you mean. I'm trying to get the words out in the right order, get the right meaning. I don't know if I am. So take it with a grain of salt and just give me the benefit of the doubt. My speech is weird. But another passed on December 20th. Oh man. So I'm speaking in defense of Michael and not against it, from any of you guys. What I'm trying to say. I'm probably not wording it right, but just forgive me, okay? Bear with me. Been a good day, but my mind gets lost. I don't mean it as, I don't mean it as, yeah, Michael, but you shouldn't appreciate the stuff. I'm not even going after Michael. I'm just saying from other people. Because people get silly. They need to be happy for you. So I'm very happy that with your relationships with those folks, you meant enough to them to want to pass you things. I think that's really nice. Awesome. Yeah, I really sometimes with epilepsy, and I'm not making any excuses, it's just how it is. Sometimes you feel like you're getting your feeling across correctly, but tones or something can be different and it may clash. So just let me know if something I said doesn't make sense. I'm still having a very good day, but I go through that all the time. Usually it's with Mabu, and she'll be like, we'll see something that someone did, or she'll show me something that somebody did, and and we'll be wondering why, trying to figure out the logic. And sometimes it'll blurt out, well, that doesn't seem right, or that's stupid, or well, that's wrong. And it might come out a way that's like what she said was wrong when it had nothing to do with what she said. It was who she was talking about, but I may not word it right. But she knows me, so it's a lot easier. Load me up with all my pipes in a canoe, float me out onto Lake Michigan. Flaming arrow, yes. Flaming arrow. Light those backies and pipes. May your spirits ascend through the smoke of your backy. I did almost get a knife in the foot today. This is a good story. It's not even a fake story, which is even better. You know, our neighbor always said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. But this is true. So this is great. So we got coffee this morning. And I was opening something. I don't remember what it was. Why I went over to the knife block, took a knife out, carefully held it, cut this piece of tape on whatever we're opening, set it on the counter. It slipped off the counter edge. And I turned. So here's my left. Let's say my left foot. I got my. See, I can't even talk. Left foot, right foot. Okay, here's my right foot. My reaction was right on the money. Right as I went like this, the knife went ding and stuck in the linoleum. And I'm like, well, I'm quick today. And my wife just started laughing. She's like, it wouldn't be funny if it would have gotten you. I'm like, yeah, huh? It would have been hilarious. But I'm like, my reflexes are good. I'm good to go. And then finally, I was like, I got to get out to the shop because if I stay in here, I'm going to get knives to the feet all day. And she's still trying not to laugh again. Brandy will probably only keep one favorite pipe of mine. I'll keep what? Let's see. When I go, I will send any and all Captain Black grape to Everett. Because I'm not going to tease him about grape as much for a long time. And then it will be like, here you go, buddy. Remember? There we go. And then who would I pass pipes to? That's a good question. You guys have inspired me. I have to make a video of like 5 pipes. You know, what things, if you could pick 5 things, 5 blends, 5 pipes, or both, 10 things. Which would you give and to whom? And why? There we go. I got the ember right. I keep doing this thing where I kind of gets lit underneath and the ember is like below the top. That's much better. He died just to hunt you down. That's true. Let's see. I'm going to pick 5 blends. Mordor. Honolulu Rain. I'll do 5 of my blends, I guess. Because there's so many other blends. I'll mention those blends. Honorable mentions. Mordor, Honolulu Rain. Let's see. Mordor would go to all my friends who like Mordor. All my friends who haven't had Mordor. Honolulu Rain would be the same. Mordor would definitely go to Hillbilly Piper. Honolulu Rain would go to Cascadian, as well as everybody, but, you know, they'd have to definitely get some. Abu's Cracked Pepper would go to Mabu, so every once in a while, she would remember that blend for making her sneeze like crazy. John's Old Dark Fire. That's my favorite. Out of all my blends, that's my old best one. Although my John Codger blend is awesome. I really like that. But I guess it would go to everybody. Like, Or I'd make a new blend for all my friends and send them each their own blend. See, that'd be cool. We're just going to presume that by the time that time comes, I'll have made enough money to send everybody various samples. Everett would probably have to get the biggest box for me to atone for like balancing out the karma for sending him grape. He'd still die just to get me. Good one. Yes, I do have to send you that one. I still can't believe what was the alternate name was like stale cigar. This blend is so good. This is so good. It's ridiculous. I've scorched it. I've relighted it. I've set it in 5 different places. That's what I do. Seattle Evening. That is a great blend. So thank you, Hillbilly. It's basically a Balkan Virginia teasing on being in English, but keeping the sweetness ties to the Virginia. That sweetness is awesome. Like that's that little, hey, I'm here. I haven't crossed over too much. Mm-hmm. Very well put. It's crazy. I've heard that too in Peterson that they hardly have anything in Ireland, or they like that is so silly. And if, as far as I've last heard, which was a couple years ago, Ireland wants to be totally smoke free. But you can't, can't you do smoke free, but have businesses that allow you to smoke there? So you're not out smoking in the streets or in the public. Like you smoke in the building. Have a giant smokers lounge. Jeez. Oh, good timing. That's funny. I just reversed the order I read those in. I feel very silly. I was like, what are the chances he talked about that? And Michael was just like, hey, it's in this verse. I'm like, man, there's some magic going on tonight. Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I worked at a manufacturing place, and usually when you went to different sections of the building, there weren't actually closing doors. It's just like a big, you just imagine like a 12-foot wide doorway, but there's no doors. So you walk in, they got the big overhead door up that trucks come in or do whatever. And you have big manufacturing line, all these lathes and big machines, all sorts of stuff. Then you have another equipment line and it goes back around. There's all these, an immense amount of money worth of machinery. You go straight back, you pass all these workers, awesome people. And you go through my double doorway, and there's only a few of us working back there, but most of it's all chemical stuff. The one guy never stopped vaping. His boss told him, don't vape, don't vape, don't vape. And he just kept doing it, and so he just lets him. He works by an open door. He lets him vape. That guy vapes all the time. He vapes more than I smoke. I don't know if it's ever out. Like he always, and the stuff smelled good, and he still did his job. He still sat in his pocket, did his work, But I couldn't smoke a pipe there, which I wouldn't blame either because, you got to light a match to do that. And vaping, you don't have to. And it probably wouldn't have been too safe to chance igniting the building. But I've never seen anybody be able to do something like that. And I wasn't smoking a pipe at the time. So it's easy for me to say because I can spend all day like this. All day. True, Smarty Bob. Where did I set my drink? Did I put it behind there? I have a drink. Oh, I found one of those darts. My wife and I were having a Nerf gun fight. No, I didn't lose. But I found the last dart. There you go, Michael. Now, if it was left up to autocorrect, it'd be like asses to asses, butts to butts. Or butts to buttes. It'd be something really weird. Or it'd be like Valentine's to bushes. I mean, it'd be really weird that like I had some weird autocorrect stuff happen the other day, okay? That's where this has come from. Do you guys ever have it happen when you're watching an Instagram live on your phone and you're going to put in a message and it like doubles the words for no reason? I want it to do that when I'm like, no back talk. So it'll be like, no back talk, no back talk, no back talk. I have never heard that. Dan, that's awesome. True, Smarty Bob. True. Big difference. I feel like it's much riskier. Pipe smoking is much riskier if you inhale. But vaping is not good either because it can cause all sorts of stuff quickly, breathing that into your lungs. You smell stuff, you'll breathe some in. It's inevitable, but drawing directly into your lungs, I will not do. And to each their own. If they choose to do that and they know the risks and they accept the risks, that's up to them. That's not up to me. I can only do what I can do. Yeah, popcorn lungs. That was a term. I hadn't remembered that one. There were a few different things, but yeah, popcorn lung. And I love the smell of it. I would get addicted to the habit of it. I don't know. Isn't it possible to just draw like you do with the pipe and just let it out? I would imagine, but maybe not. Yeah. That's the problem with tobacco. Sometimes the flavorings are terrible. I gotcha. Yeah, I could imagine drawing and messing with vape stuff like that. To be honest, I mean, if I ever smoked cigarettes, that'd be how I would do it too. I'd puff and, I wouldn't draw in with my lungs. But I wouldn't, I mean, you do that by accident sometimes with a pipe too, every once in a while. But I wouldn't intentionally do it. All right, we need to do a bull call on the bull call gopher. What are you smoking and what are you smoking it in? I'm smoking some Seattle evening in my Savinelli saxophone lucite 614, if I remember correctly. Come on, Claude, just in time for the bull call gopher. Oh, okay, I got you. Did not know that. Damn. I'm glad somebody said it just because. Oh, my friends and I make jokes on everybody. Okay. We don't go up to someone and make fun of them, but we make jokes on everybody for different reasons. Tennessee Hillbilly, good to see you. How you doing, brother? Artie's got a cigar. I think I'm going to have that coming up. Glad you're here, Mike, as well. Good to see you. Seattle Pipe Club, Hogshead. I can't read. I told you my words are going to be weird. You just got to bear with me. If I say something that comes off wrong, just forgive me or message me kindly. Say, hey, I don't know. Or just let it roll off your shoulders because by the time you message me, I'll forget anyway. Nice. This is a fantastic blend, man. Seattle evening is what's good, my friend. I got a very generous, kind, goodwill gestured couple of boxes from Hillbilly Piper. He has now outdone me on a trade, so it's my turn to get him back sometime soon. Underrated. That's exactly the word I used. Excellent. So I recommend you view the video and check out Hillbilly Piper's channel. Because he is so thoughtful, and it was very hard to get words out and actually think of words to describe the feeling. It was awesome. And of course, after the video, Mabu came in and she took one of the items, which you'll see when you see the video. Two of the items, actually. And Donnie makes some awesome pipe holders. You just have to check with him on supply, but he makes some awesome ones. If he can get one to you, they're worth picking up. Oh gosh, Michael. You are correct, Smarty Bob. Oh man, which is the same case for us getting married. She took the sucker. I think the only way that Seattle evening would be better is if I put it in a bigger pipe. Oh man, that went from awful to terrible there, Dan. Oh man. You would do well here in the pipe shop with me and my dad. Me and my dad and my oldest brother find a lot of jokes that you don't tell everybody, and I don't know, just bask in the ridiculousness of some of hilarity, some off the wall stuff we wouldn't usually laugh to, so it throws you off and just makes you loosen up a bit. That's true. I was listening to, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name on here, so I'll alter it. You'll know who I'm talking about. Books and Done. Done. Bartender, I walk in. Bartender asks, son, what it'll be? What will it be? I'll have a shot of that red head yonder looking at me. I love lines like that. I might do a little bit of work tomorrow. I really want to finish. Joel's stem is going very well. It is so close to done. It's all shaped out how I want it. I just have to make it smaller and then polish it. So I'm really, really ready to get to that point. So close. I just got to put the ABU on his pipe. Get a couple of samples together. I'll be good to go. And Patrick has finally gotten some of my samples, and he's been enjoying them. The small batch one surprised me that it actually changed within 48 hours, probably a little less, from the original. So the day I blended it, it tasted how I intended. 2 days later, it tasted, the Latakia took over a little bit. Just blanketed it. You could still taste the Virginias and stuff. Still all right. It was more like a Latakia forward with some nice tastes of Virginia rather than kind of the other way around. So I added some other stuff. A couple days later, it tasted how it should still. Week and a half, or about a week and a half later, it tastes like jerky. Smells fantastic. Nice and smoky flavor. Oh my goodness. So now I just got 3 different versions out of one blend by going after the same one flavor. Amazing what you can do when you change the composition. I was going to say that, Dan. You said guy walks into a bar, and I was just thinking, guy walks into a bar, says ouch, and I read the rest of it, and it says ouch. I don't know what I did wrong. I think I just need to slow down. This blend is very good, even though I've scorched it like halfway through. It's still very good. This is one to smoke in like a Lavat. Speaking of Lavats, it's Phil Rivera. What you smoking, Phil? How you doing, buddy? Every time Bill sees that picture, he's like, ah! But the rooster is thinking, I see you. Didn't I say Rivera? What'd I say? Did I say Rivera? My mind's not working right tonight, so just take it as it is. There was one I heard about an airplane, and it was something like that. And I wish I could remember it right now. But you reminded me of it, Michael. So it's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to call my dad tomorrow. And we're going to together collectively try to scramble together each other's thoughts and figure out what the stinking joke was. There's also one with like, I don't even remember the celebrity's name. Son of a gun. I don't remember. There's one that would be controversial, not with the pipe group or most people alive, but on YouTube it would be. It has to do with parachutes. And it was good, but I haven't heard it in like 15 years. Oh, I saw a joke the other day that was hilarious. The names might be wrong, but there's 2 penguins on a boat. And one penguin's like, man, I really have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to jump in and go to the bathroom. And his friend's like, no, don't jump in. There's a killer whale. And he goes, I don't see no killer whale. I'm going in. So he jumps in. And the penguin remaining on the boat is calling down to his buddy. We'll just say Kenneth. He's like, come on, Kenneth. He's like, there's a killer whale. There's a killer whale. Come on. He's like, what's red and blue and black all over. Black and blue and red all over. It's Hank because he jumped in and there's a killer whale. And he's eating him right now. Then Kenneth jumps out, or whoever it is, jumps back out of the boat, and he goes, Well, you're right. There was a killer whale. Turns out I also had the number 2. It's better when you can cuss on it, okay? I'm just, but it was great. My timing isn't right, and my words are not together, but it's okay. They're like that group of people that just show up. They're going the same direction. They don't. It isn't like Walking Dead where they're like going the same direction, but they're friends and they become like a family. It's not like that. It's more like they're just a weird group of strangers that are all just going together to the same place. And immediately when they get there, they'll all go their own directions. It's just that awkward entire group whole walk there. Yeah, that's where my thoughts are going today. Oh, there you go, Phil. How are we getting all these religious jokes? Oh, man. Oh, there you go, Bill. Oh, yeah. I've heard that joke only one time, Michael, and I don't remember how old I was. I must have been like 12 or 13. And I heard it. We had a preacher that lived across the street. We actually had preachers live across the street in a couple different houses for 2 different churches, one across town and one nearby. And the preacher actually moved to Athens, Greece years ago. They were from Texas. Real nice family. And he was, I believe he was in his mid 50s, and he was really starting to look after his health and exercise and stuff. So he rode his bike to work, which was a long way. So that was good. He surprised us and biked in all weather until one time he didn't. And we said, "What happened?" And he said, "I found ice when I parked my bike." So then he drove again for a while. Then he did ride his bike. Skydiving chute fails. Pull secondary. Looking at map of Texas, rushing towards him. Remembers to ask Buddha. This has been a very good smoke. I have scorched it. I've relighted it, relighted it. Says, thank God, smack like a fly swatter. Well, Phil, I'd hope you'd be proud, bud. The rework I've done with what we talked about, trying different things based on the climate here with the Delrin tenon and stuff seems to have worked. Thank goodness. It's amazing what climate can make such a difference. It's so silly. Found out, by the way, I had to fix mortise drilling. The dang it, the lathe just shifted a little. I think it was because I maybe loosened it or moved it too far back first, and it sagged a little. So I took it out, did it by hand. It was off 1/1000th of an inch. 1/1000th of an inch. Oh, have a great time, Dan. Good to see you, and thanks for dropping in, buddy. A human hair is 7/1000ths of an inch. It was off 1/1000th. My dad took a caliper, checked it all out. I said, of course. So I'm just going to do an integral tenon for that one and give it a very gentle, almost non-existent taper. But when it sagged a little in the lathe, it found a little inclusion, and that's what I think caused the problem and made it go slightly off. So I took yes, yeah. So I'll make a custom stem. Otherwise, the pipe is a beautiful, beautiful dead center drilled, wonderful Dublin with plateau on the rim. Gorgeous, gorgeous pipe. And it's just in the mortise. So I can make a stem for it. It's not a big deal. It's going to work fine. But it's just enough off for Delrin. And I mean, you can move it all the way around you want, and you can barely tell. But the up and down, if you're really careful, like pretty firm, you can tell. So I'll do a custom one. It'll have a slight taper. It'll be fine. But I was laughing at it. I told him when we were gonna do that, I was like, something silly's gonna happen. And I told him today, I said, something's gonna happen. And he laughed and he goes, then you went and made it happen. I go, yep. But now it's out of the way, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Don't have to anticipate something bad happening. But it's very fixable. And so I'm not, it doesn't ruin anything. So it doesn't matter, Integral tenon, shape it out, no big deal. Still excellently drilled pipe aside from that mortise part. I mean, 1/1000th of an inch is squat. But no harm done. So that's good. It didn't ruin a block or mess anything up. Oh, cool. Yeah, Phil's been very gracious, giving me an idea, working with me on tools that might do the same job that I'm trying to do that I can use that, because there are a lot that other people working on pipes could use that I can't use. So he's been helping me find alternative tools that might work for me. And it's been very good. Between Phil and my dad and other pipe makers and just absorbing information and having those aha moments, like I think I could use that instead. It's been very helpful, and the pipes are reflecting that very well. Oh, that's funny you mentioned that, Phil, because yeah, because my dad and I were talking about that a bit. I said, it'd be cool if they did one like this. I said, I don't know how good I would do with it, but my but we did fix my inch belt sander was having an issue, so we fixed that. So I said that's a start. That at least gives me an option again. It's a fixed one, it's got the slight tilt. You can change the angle, but it isn't the little one that you can mount or do half-inch, which would be very helpful as well. But it gave me some options on some things. I'm going to take a stem when I'm real brave one of these days and see if I could do a flat spot without having to do this shoe shine. But at the same time, there's something therapeutic about working on a stem like that, because it is, totally handmade. All right, these are also from Hillbilly. So so when I say Phil's been helping me, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, how come he's telling him stuff? He's not telling anybody stuff. It's just a matter of helping me find tools, because he knows those types of tools. I've used so many tools that I can, usually if he thinks of one, I can go, oh yeah, okay, I've used those before, no problem. I just didn't think to apply it to pipe making. That's been awesome. And I'm going to have some more ready. Just want to finish Joel's. It's so close. Just the stem. The tenon's done. It fits right. Everything's good. The pipe is all done. Just needs the ABU on there. And just the shaping and the very, very slight bend on the mouthpiece. But the shaping is going beautifully. So I'm just excited to get it all finished up. Thank you. I'm going to take that the right way, Phil, because that could be, I could take that as pity speech. All right, so I need to smoke one of these cigars. We have a Monte Cristo Pilotico, not Politico, Pilotico. Paul, how you doing? Good to have you with us. Hope you're doing great, buddy. Glad to see you. And then a black market as well. What would anybody recommend? And then I got to stop for a while. Okay. Well, I'll put it in my phone. If I text it to her, she'll text it back. Or it'll stay on my texts or whatever. Oh, it's getting colder. Oh my goodness, guys. Tomorrow's high temperature is supposed to be 8 Fahrenheit. Oh. You know what kind of weather that is? That's snowball weather, if you catch my drift. Oh, I know, Phil. I know. I'm giving you a hard time. Crazy busy black market because never heard of it. They are awesome. I've been spoiled by Hillbilly. But this will be the last cigar I smoke for a while. But being here with you guys, I would like to enjoy one tonight. And then I will space them out way farther. Sometimes they just hit the spot. I mean, I got good taste. What can I say? Yes, it is an Alec Bradley, by the way. I'm glad you asked that because I almost mentioned it and then I forgot right after. It's a torpedo. The hillbilly has opened my eyes to a whole new world with cigars, and I am ever grateful. Bone Shaker Torpedo. He's spoiling me is what he's doing. He's spoiling me with these cigars. So when I go, maybe someday I'll be in a cigar kind of operation. Who knows? Ooh, perfect. To tell you the truth, Michael, there you go, Phil. I do agree with you, Phil. I think at some point people need to lighten up. I understand everybody caring and having standards. I really do. But some people get really carried away. And sometimes you're not talking to a teenager with no sense of direction or someone in their 20s or 30s or 40s that don't mean what they say. Sometimes you're talking to a person that means what he says and is going to work hard and has worked hard and wants and likes the hobby the same way you do and wants to grow in it. And if the first pipe maker in the world or the first two companies that ever did it got into their own clique and blah, 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 didn't accept anybody, or if anybody took them seriously, we would not have very many pipe brands. Yeah, Davidoff is a good brand. I wonder. First Davidoff he didn't like. That's interesting. I've had a couple of brands like that where I'm like, really? They've all been good. But I didn't used to be a cigar guy. I really didn't. I thought of guys sitting in a garage going, smoking cigars and playing poker. I'm like, that is not for me. One, I'm no good at poker. Two, I don't have a great poker face. I do, especially when playing Uno. Outside of that, I don't. So I just never pictured it, but I didn't know I was going to smoke a pipe or anything like that. Well put, Smarty Bob. You fixed what I was sort of trying to say. Hey, doggo, how you doing? Thank you, Phil. That is a great reference. I always think of Eric Nording, but then I forget what I'm gonna say with it. But yes, right there. Oh man, 6 years of age. You're just you're killing me with kindness here, Donnie. If I could get this type of flavor or experience in a blend to have it work like this, I'd suppose I would want a really big diameter chamber, quarter-inch thick walls, and load it up. It's damn good. I've learned over time, over all these wonderful cigars you have sent me to sample. Black Market is a staple. Those Alec Bradleys are a regular great quality smoke. Oh wow, RD. I'm not laughing. I'm crying inside for you. Yeah, exactly, Phil. Like you said, if the mechanics are there and the person puts their heart into it, then let them experience it. Let them work. Let them grow. Nudge them in the right direction, you know? Oh, yeah, that's the spirit, RD. But people, they get silly. They get all hung up on this and that. It's like, my dad looks at it like this. If you can make something that looks and works like a pipe, you can call yourself a pipe maker. And what he meant by that isn't saying you're the world's best pipe maker or living in a fantasy realm. It's saying take pride in what you did because you made a pipe no matter what anybody says. Missouri Meerschaum cobs are still pipes. The cheap $5 cob is still a pipe. And there's more to it than that, of course. But it's okay to look at the baby steps and go, look, I made one. There. Now what's next? Now how are the next ones going to be? How can I perfect it to the best of my ability? And number one is the mechanics, because if the mechanics of a pipe are terrible, it doesn't matter how pretty it is if you set it on a shelf and never want to smoke it. It can be the best looking pipe and smoke like garbage. You won't smoke it. Yeah, the cheapest one I've ever seen in person was $5, and that was a few years ago. I would imagine by now it's much higher. And those were those real cheap, easy to break stems, and you know. Oh, sounds good though, Phil. We did that. We did I don't remember the brand. It was a bagged soup. It was what was that soup we had, honey? Something tortilla. What was the soup we had? chicken tortilla soup. And it wasn't real spicy, which usually we like spicy, but it was good. It hit the spot. It was fine. I had a bowl and it was nice. Yeah, they've been going up like crazy, and I think they've been bringing them up. So here's an example. What McDonald's does is they'll bring the prices up slowly over a couple of years on meals, and then when everybody else is going up, they'll flatline. They'll bring them up. You know, it used to be you could get 2 sandwiches for $1. Now it's $2 each sandwich. Okay. So you do $2 each sandwich. Well, if they bring it up and people go, that's a little high, but then they don't raise it or adjust it for 5 or 10 years, then they're looked at as everybody waiting to raise their prices till last minute, then jumping up higher. Then they look like, oh yeah, we're still the cheap one. It's like they do it ahead of time. Exactly, Phil. It's, you know, for anybody saying inflation is down, they really don't. They don't look at everywhere. That's for sure. And I'm not getting political. I'm just saying it as it is. It's insane. Although that was well put there, Michael. That was well put. Well, that's another thing. They don't get the supply in, the demand's still there. You know, why are they still out? And for some things, pork, chicken, sometimes things go on, sure. Yeah. But there's stuff they've been out of a long time. It's just like when they were out of baby formula in the US for a while. You'd see that all over the news. And I'm asking Mabu, I'm like, how in the United States are you out of baby formula? That makes no sense to me. Yeah, still are in some places. To me, that makes no sense. There's something more to it, in my humble opinion. But I digest. That's a good one, Smarty Bob. Nothing raises toilet paper prices here more than the weatherman forecasting a snowstorm. Hey, have you guys experienced this where you're at? Our weather people have been right on the money all winter. Down to a T. It's crazy. They were saying it's going to get cold tonight, like drastically from the daytime being 40. And now it's minus 10. Tomorrow the high is 8 degrees, so it's going to be minus 25 probably. RD spent $100 just to fill up on gas enough for the week for work. I believe it. And then Phil goes, how is baby formula an issue when most women are capable of breastfeeding? That is a good point. That is a good point. But some women can only, I know you said most, some women can only do that for so long. but I understand what you mean. But the weather predictions have been way better, way more on than they used to be. Not better, they've been bad news. We used to never have weeks of lasting snow. I mean, we had a dang permafrost month and a half ago, maybe. And even at the warmest day being 51 degrees since then, it hasn't thawed out enough. So you get a cold night and then the water has trouble. Three heat lamps in the well pit is having trouble keeping the water lines warm enough. It's between there and the house. The ground is still not thawed enough, you know. Well, I'm glad you did leave a note, Phil. And cold weather can affect your breathing big time. And I don't know if that's the case for you, but it just can for a lot of people. It does that for me. I have allergic asthma, but I also have it where a lot of times if I run or do something like that, all of a sudden exercise, all of a sudden run after something, especially in cold weather, I'm wheezing. Sometimes it's what I would call a superficial wheeze, where it's just temporary or it's just a light sound of a wheeze, but it's not like hard to breathe. But most of the time it gets crazy. It's I almost need an inhaler. With my meds, I've been doing very well at not needing to use an inhaler in a while, long time. But oh, that's right, Phil. You told me that last week, I believe. Low 30s in the morning. I would take that. My goodness. I know what I need to do, Hillbilly. When I get some money, I need to buy a bunch of black market cigars and hide them from myself for 5 or 6 years and try not to touch them. It will be a fight. I will have to get enough. Fantastic. And some cigars, the smoke will bug my eyes. This one is a lot easier. Oh, man. Recovering know-it-all's high tomorrow is 68. I'm just getting worn out of the cold and the wind. Yeah, I'm glad you haven't had asthma. But yeah, it's wicked sometimes, man. My asthma was a lot worse when I was younger. When I developed it, I was probably 8 or 9, and it was miserable, especially with allergies. I mean, it got to the point in my early teens, I'd lay awake at night itching. Didn't matter if I showered, didn't matter if I tried Vaseline all over, saying, oh, maybe it's dry skin. I tried a lot of things and it didn't fix it. I was like, I'm laying awake for 2 or 3 hours scratching when I'm trying not to scratch. And then my breathing would get worse. Then it'd be like, finally, it's daytime. And then my allergies were usually worse, especially around grass and stuff. It's weird to see you say that, Bob, that you visited Phoenix in the 60s, because I don't feel like you're old enough to have visited Phoenix in your 60s. We have rock and dirt. We do here. Our grass has suffered. We had about 12 years of drought, and we had a couple years we got some grass coming in. We did have a fire. That helped because it wiped out weeds and sticker plants that take a lot of the moisture away from grass. But we've had tons of winds blowing grass seed away. And it really made it to where our lawn is mostly weeds. So when any type of grass, which may be a sticker plant looking like grass until all of a sudden it's stickers, when they start getting about 8 inches or less, I don't know, 6-7 inches high, you got to mow. So we'll mow half at the beginning of the week and half a couple days later, and then you do that every week, especially if it rains. You're mowing twice a week because weeds just grow like crazy. And we've had good years and bad years with grass, but man, it can't take. We need more moisture. Oh, cool. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. But you don't look 77, Bob. I do believe you, but looks can be deceiving, my friend. You look good, bud. Everything's still going okay for you? After going through it, as far as surgery, it treating you pretty good? You're going to be known as the bounce back kid. You came out of it well, bud. And I know it's much harder than you let on, but really, you came out of it well. Oh, man. It's getting colder and colder. So without the wind, it's 5 degrees. Earlier, it was 8 degrees, but it was -8 with the wind. So I'm going to assume that 5 degrees, it's about -10 or 11 with the wind. Just checking up on a couple of people going through some things themselves. Oh, excellent. Yeah. And people will use hay to get by. Now here there's lots of grass as far as pastures. They have good stands of grass. It's not as big of a deal. And it grows fast. Sometimes you got to disc in fertilizer. Sometimes you got to plant a little more grass into it to make it better. See, that sounds more correct, Phil. Smarty Bob's doing so good he woke up at 50 years old today. I believe it. Well, I think it depends on the type of grass. I know what you mean, because they'll yeah, I know what you mean, though. But that's why you do I get what you mean. But they if you do it early enough at the right time, then by the time they get by the time they work their way around through the more stand of grass. I'm trying to remember the type we have here that they really like. Um, then the other stuff is matured. Oh, I got you. Yeah, we don't have ours. Well, we don't have any cattle now. We have some on our place for pasture, but they're our neighbors. Well, we don't give them much rye at all unless some volunteer winds up in a bale, but it's rare. We'll cut the heads off of wheat. Yeah, and we'll harvest wheat, and then if they're tall enough, we'll harvest the straw. We'll windrow it down and make bales out of that. So you have straw bales, right? You got to cut the heads off of that. Definitely, I get you. And cows they love corn so much they'll eat themselves to death on corn. But sometimes people give them those big blocks, mineral licks, um, or salt if something's missing. Um, but I'm just talking about, just grass in the pasture. It could be different where you're at. See, we like buffalo grass. They can eat it down clear to the dirt and it'll still grow back fairly quickly. They can be eating off of it again in a week. Like it grows back fast. And once it's established. But before it's established, it's a pain. And once it's there, it's good. Oh, what's that like? I haven't, well, we had a neighbor bring over a new salt lick. And I did lick that once. I'm like, I'm gonna try this before the cows come over and lick it. And I was like, oh, it's salty. I felt like Sid off of Ice Age. Salty. When he does that thing with his lips because it's salt water. Troy, good to see you, buddy. Nice. Alfalfa's good. Of course, you got to watch for mosaic because if they get mosaic, they can get sick. Well, that's cool to know. You got some cattle stuff going on, man. I grew up farming, live on a farm. Been in our family for hundreds of years. Farming, that is, not this particular farm. We are at one of our stands has been in the family since the late 1800s or the mid 1800s. Yes. Yeah, we had I thought it was the white one. It might have been the brown one. I don't know. I don't know. They had both, and I remember looking at them. Photographic memory will throw you off because you remember seeing them, but you may not remember them because you interacted with them. You might just think you did because you really remember looking at them with almost intent, like I'm going to try that, but you don't always associate it with the right memory. It's weird. It was probably the red one then. Oh yeah. And in fact, it's actually the only way you can get nutritional value out of corn is eating it after a cow has processed corn. Donnie, I have to hand it to you, buddy, and thank you again. I am thoroughly enjoying the heck out of this black market Alec Bradley cigar. So thank you. This is hitting the spot better than I expected again. The taste is always great. The smell is always great. They're not quite as smoky, so it doesn't fill the room as much as some do. And I don't think the smell of this one bugs Mabu. There's one I had, and she goes, "That one stinks." And I was finishing it. I don't remember which one it was. I have the labels. It may have been the Caldwell or maybe the CAO. I think it was the Caldwell, especially towards the end. The room note was a little bit different than what I was getting immediately from the smell of the cigar. Oh my gosh. I'm scared and excited at the same time. But we agreed those will be for very special occasions. One of them will be for the giveaway for 500 subs. I'm going to be working more on that. I've got one prize around halfway done overall. And then depending on the person's preference who wins, they will get to have a say in types of blends made for them. So it will be very, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what I meant by that, Smarty Bob, you're right. What'll happen is, so like my neighbor had this, he was great with cattle. He had this awesome herd. I want to say it was 49 cattle or something like that, at least 40. And he had a cart, like you said, with them all broken up. And they would eat themselves sick on that if they kept going. But what he sometimes we did was when you finished harvesting a cornfield is he'd let them loose to eat the stalks. Now that you wanted to make sure there wasn't too much corn on the ground, you had to watch that. But mostly they stuck to the stalks. There wasn't enough there that but they would eat it and they wouldn't get carried away as much as if he were bucketing it. So whenever he drove by, they'd go follow him, even if he was on his four-wheeler and had no corn with him. Ground up? I got ground up. I read it the way you meant it. Yeah. Weather changes can even affect that too. That's cool. We all have something in common with cattle. That's cool. Troy, that's why we can't break down corn. You know, most of it, I've had people say, well, how come, or ask, how come it doesn't all just show up later? Well, because your stomach acid destroys it, most of it. You are used to work then, Smarty Bob. At one point, my dad and I were farming just under 1,700 acres. We aren't now, but at one point we were. A long, long time ago, my grandpa was farming and then custom farming. And imagine with an old International H, no umbrella, no cab, 7,000 acres. Try to wrap your head around that. I can't. But his issue was running his farm like it was a small operation with small equipment when he got bigger than that, and that it wasn't efficient. And that was the biggest issue for him. But by that point, he could work no problem and could still outwork anybody, and it was no big deal. And then later on, when he quit farming due to health and it was getting closer to his time, he'd go out there and help farm. But he really wasn't in it as much as he had been. But he was doing that. He was a commissioner for a bit. He farmed, and for a bit, I mean 16 years. He farmed, he was in committees, did all sorts of stuff. Awesome man. And he started in a dairy before World War II. That's true. That's true, hillbilly. Oh, smarty Bob. I understand. I do understand, buddy. Yeah, that's how we grew up working. That's how we grew up. That's how my dad grew up. That's how my mom grew up. Sheep, pigs, cattle, whatever you could do to make a living. Chickens, turkeys, all that stuff. I used to do that as well, Smarty Bob. I was not at the airport, of course, but I was a CNA and a therapy aide full time. I did security full time, and then I was farming full time. But my wife didn't run. That was part of the issue when I got West Nile. Was while I was doing all that, I thought, well, this is great. I'll stop security eventually, and I'll continue pursuing nursing and therapy and farming, and I'll just live happily ever after. And then West Nile changed that. And I'm getting to terms with it. Happened in 2013. And it's a lot better for me to get used to it now. I don't think I'll ever be used to it, but it's had its ups and downs. You know, the best thing is I have more time with Mabu. I get more time with my dad other than farming. I get around the same time. I still get a lot of time with my dad now because if Mabu's not with me, he is. But I do miss farming. I don't have any regrets. I worked my tail off. I was responsible. I got to farm with my brothers, with my mom, with my dad, with grandparents. So doing all that work through mid-20s was a blessing. And I'm glad I did it. I'm ever grateful. I liked Waterworld, Dances with Wolves. I think he did great in those two. I've known people that didn't like Waterworld. I thought it was awesome. That was one of the coolest movies, and you had the classic villains, the bad guy pirates that were really not good guys. Then they got their comeuppance, and the different, unique guy had his own different way of doing things that ended up being heroic. I think that's awesome. He once said, "Nobody died saying, 'I wish I could have worked one more day.'" In my nature, I would be grateful for even one more day of work. I would much rather see Mabu, but if it was one more day of work or no days, I'd rather work one more day. I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing any kind of work. Working on pipes, whether it's a half hour or 2 hours, whatever I can do that gives me something. I also know quite a few people retire and stop working completely, and then they don't last very much longer. So I think work keeps you going. You got to have purpose. My grandpa hung around longer. He kept going. His cancer had come back. He was in terrible shape internally, but he farmed as long as he could. Oh, I got you, Phil. I got you. I do agree there. Definitely. Don't do the money chase. Try to meet your needs. Meet your needs and try to get ahead. Hey, Patrick, great to see you, brother. I hope you're doing very well. Smoking an Alec Bradley Black Market cigar from Hillbilly Piper. Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree with you. There's different reasons for work. I agree with you, Phil. I didn't know that that's exactly what you meant. Yeah, do what's important. Absolutely. I appreciate you clarifying that. Because I didn't have that chat with him, so I couldn't have known what he meant other than what you're saying. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, don't work yourself to death. You know, do what you want to do what you need to do, work hard. Find something you like to do so it's more like a hobby and not like work as much. And realize that your health and family is much more important. But have time to do things you want to accomplish for yourself so you feel complete. I've learned to work so I feel, as long as I got, like, the last few weeks, I've been fortunate enough with pipes to get ahead. So taking a couple days off because I didn't feel great. One day I was just real tired. Another day I had a flare up for colitis. It was like, okay, just take the time. I did light work today, made good progress. I'm still ahead. Like, okay, just it's getting colder. It's time to quit. Go in. So I feel good about those days of taking a rest. And I do want to let you guys know, and this should not affect the, yes, they are, by the way, Patrick, fantastic smokes. I think with some good sleep and stuff that's been taking place, mostly other than the other week, I was trying to make myself go out to the shop every day, which is always my goal. I go to bed and I think I want to do something out there tomorrow. Because at least if I do something, get out there, even if all I do is go out there and sweep stuff up and can't do as much, then I know I'll sleep better at night knowing I got something accomplished. But I am going to heed my doctor's advice a little bit more closely. What happens is, because epilepsy and seizures in general are so dang difficult to try to predict on what's going to happen, it's impossible to know. My doctor always said, if there's, take at least 3 days off a week. If you go out and work for a day, which might be 2-3 hours, you need to take a few days off. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make progress, get ahead as far as I can, but I'm going to take some days, I need to designate a little bit more time off, because when I'm feeling good, I try to milk it. I go, I'm having a great day. Let's go as much as we can. And usually it's not a lot of hours. Sometimes it's not even an hour. So I do what I can. But when I push too far, I tend to have a flare up more often. So I'm going to just make sure I take some more days off. I'll still plan on Saturday lives. It's not going to change anything as far as Tumultuous Tuesday or some random lives or Google Meets. It's not going to change any of that stuff. But I am going to be just in the shop a couple days less of the week so I can stay on top. With it being so cold and windy, it's made my legs worse. So then if I do a day where I'm standing for a few hours, and I know Donnie knows, you start getting that pain. I was starting to get pain I hadn't had for a while. So I'm taking the early warning, and I'm just going to have some days where I just Maybe I'll draw some stuff or blend, easy going stuff, but that's just letting you guys know. Oh, that was a great place to start, Bob. Yeah, true, Phil. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you guys so dang much. That's about how it gets for me, Phil. Some of my best days I can put in. A great example is, I'll get up in the morning. Usually, Mom will help me take meds before I'm up and going, and they help some things calm down so I can get up and going. Let's take an example. Let's say I wake up one day. It's a great day. Say I wake up at 8, able to get out of bed, then I will come sit down, take it slow, smoke a pipe, let my meds totally kick in. If I feel real good, I'll go out to the shop. If I don't feel ready, I'll hang out here. Some days that turns into the whole day where I'm hanging out here. Or it's different every day. But usually I'll do that. I'll go out there and I'll sit down and load up a pipe and smoke it again and just take it slow. Look at stuff, get an idea. Okay, should I work on that? How am I feeling? Should I do drilling today? Should I do stems today? Should I shape a pipe and see where it goes? Which is a lot of the case. I'll just grab a random block, start a side project, go, okay, I am good enough right now to work on this commission more, or I'm good enough right now to continue on another project. And then an hour or so in, I'll sit down, I'll make sure I've eaten some more and gotten the nutrition I need, and then kind of maybe do another hour, maybe two if I'm doing real good, and then I'll quit because my legs will start aching and it's enough, even if the shop's warm. Definitely, Bob, and thank you. I've been hearing that from a lot of folks in here, a lot of you guys in here, and I'm very impressed with the new meds. They're meds that don't. I'm trying to think of a way to word it correctly. I want to get the right message across to you guys. I guess they'd be a light medication, but they don't take, like, I break them down into halves. So it's okay if I take up to 2 whole ones a day. I take half, let it kick in, really early when Mabu gives me my main seizure medication. I take a half one. Then when I get up, I take a half one. So really, I only need, and this, my doctor said these are as needed, 1 to 2 a day. So I take the second half. Now, rarely I've taken a third half, which is a pill and a half out of the 2 I could take. But most cases, I even had a case the other day. I just needed the 1 half. I didn't even need another one, so I didn't take it. So it depends on the day. And my main seizure med is similar to that. He said, if you're going to be busier or if you're having worse, more numerous seizures or more active ones, it's okay to take a certain amount. Just monitor it, know what you're doing. Mabu's here with me. So we've got it all figured out as much as we can control. But still, with all those, with all of that monitoring and the careful scheduling and all that stuff, there's still no guarantee. Hey, Captain Kirk, great to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. So we've got some more people in. Feel free to share what you're smoking it in. We've got the bowl called Groundhog or whatever it is. Oh, I understand that, Phil. And I know what you mean, bud. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're busy working on stuff, or maybe you're not feeling up to it. And I'm never going to take any offense to it if someone can't do a video call. You and I have had some great video calls, and then there's been days where I couldn't do it or you couldn't do it. No harm done. The last of a tin. Those are the saddest things I ever hear. The last of the tin. Star of the East flake. I've not had the flake, but I do love Star of the East. Oh, this is an Alec Bradley Black Market, brought to you by Hillbilly Fiber. Thank you so much again, brother, for introducing me to, so far, no cigars I don't like, but much better quality than I've tried before. I haven't had any cigars I've hated, regardless of the strength, regardless of the blends that I've tried or brands I've tried, especially from Hillbilly. I've never had a terrible cigar. It started out a long time ago when Mabu and I were engaged. I had cigars. I had these little clear wrapped little, I guess, cigarillos. They were grape. They were ones a friend in college gave me, and I saved them a few years to keep them out of respect for him. He said, "I want you to have these, man." And at the time, I thought, I don't smoke, but I said, no, I'll keep them though, because they mean a lot. I said, maybe one day I'll try them. And I did. Mabu and I went out one cool, I think it was in like October, one cool evening in the summer. And we shared our first cigar, and it was grape, and it was amazing. Not Captain Black. It was good. Brill Green. Shamrock. I'm not sure if that's one I've tried. I don't recall it. But starting with that, I liked them. Had some great CAO ones. I think probably the least favorite of the ones I've tried. I think they were like Prince Albert cigars. They weren't the worst ever, by any means. It was more that the smoke really did not agree with my eyes. That's the worst thing for some cigars, although the black market one don't seem to bother me. I know you did, Patrick, you honor guy. So Patrick has gotten to try some of my blends now. There's one that needed work we agreed on that just changed over time. I got it done. It was good as I tried it. I usually give them time to age in a jar for the components to marry together. And I didn't want his package waiting on that. So I sent it. And it changed within 2 days' time. And it was still good. It was just became a Latakia forward, which was not the intention, but it was still smooth and pretty good. But we figured that out. But aside from that, he's had Mordor. Did you try the Irish coffee? Which ones have you tried, Patrick? Because so far he's indicated he's liked them. Yes, the Brasilia and the Italian are fantastic. Or Italia. I was like, Italian doesn't sound right. Italia are fantastic. What are the other ones? There's some more, I want to say Brazilians. I don't think they're CAOs, though. Those are really good. CAO makes good cigars. Even the little ones in the tins, like the Eileen's Dream, those are good. Moon Trance, those are good. You know, they aren't as great as these, but they're still very good for what they are. The Prince Albert Vanilla are pretty good. Again, the smoke is what gets me on those. Ah, Fudge Brownie. I couldn't think of that one. I could earlier. Nice. For me, it seems like a small world for cigars. Like, I know there's a lot around. But thanks to the YTPC, I've been fortunate enough to find a cluster of brands and types of cigars I really, really enjoy. So I haven't had to do the trial and error and stuff with them as far as forking over for different costs of different cigars and trying this and hoping it's good and finding out it's not. And that's thanks in no small part to Hillbilly Piper. I have to give credit where it's due, buddy. But he has spoiled me with cigars. Smarty Bob, your brain's doing what my brain's doing. My words are getting better since we've been doing this. They were awful during supper. Yeah, just make the list. So I added two. I was telling you, Patrick, I don't remember if I filled you in at the end, that I had made the necessary changes to the small batch. And after about 5 days, it changed again, and it's really, really good. It's not as it was the first day. So I've gotten 3 blends out of the same components, starting at the same and changing a certain way with just different proportions. And 2 of them, one's a Latakia forward, and if people, there are people that love that. I didn't mind it. Wasn't my favorite, but I didn't mind it. Going in, if I would have realized at the time it was Latakia forward after some days of aging, then I probably would have liked it more. I was just comparing it to what I had the first blending, and I'm like, that was great. What's going on here? But the second blending is like jerky. So after the components marry correctly, it's like jerky. So I will probably add some Perique, and it will and then add more Virginias and get it to keep the intended flavor longer. But the second blending is really good. So I will send some to you and Hillbilly, and as well as the perfected version. But these 2 are fantastic. Absolutely delicious. Oh, that is not the jar, though. Oh, I have it over there. But, yeah, absolutely delicious. Yeah, just keep in mind the ones you want. I know you mentioned Fudge Brownie, the 2 new versions, the new version of Small Batch, this second version of Small Batch you would love. It's very, very flavorful. And then, and the smoke smells fantastic. And then I know you wanted more Fudge Brownie and more Mordor. So just keep them in mind, because I may not remember these. Tomorrow I might forget what else you wanted. And I'll be in touch with you when I'm able to send your second box. And it'll be a little bit. I gotta save up, basically, to be honest with you. But when I can get things sent out, I will let you know, and we'll go over it again, and I'll blend some more. Alrighty, Phil. Thanks for spending some time with us, buddy. I hope you have a wonderful night. Love you back. Do you want to say goodnight to Phil, honey?
Tell him good night.
She said, tell him goodnight. I don't know if you heard her. But hugs to you. Stay warm. Best of luck. And good luck with your work on pipes. You make great pipes, but I'm still going to wish you good luck because I know how that can go sometimes. Some days it's like, how come nothing wants to work with me? I have to fight. Phil says, good night, Mabu. I have enough to sample for a while. And I do have, I will be mailing out RD's box and Patrick's second box, probably at the same time. Hopefully Hillbillies at the same time as those two. But again, I just have to save, save for a bit. But I did not forget, RD. It's not you, Bob. It's YouTube. Bob tried to put night Philip and it put note Philip. I'm like, note Philip. Now for the next month, I'm going to remember specifically Philip for no reason. And then I'm going to be like, what am I? I'm going to be in the shop working on something. I'm going to have a pipe be going really great, really well, thinking that what am I forgetting? There's something important to do with this. What is it? I'm going to sit down, set it down, smoke a pipe, and ponder what the heck I'm forgetting. And I'm going to remember Philip. And I'm going to be like, what does that mean? That's how it's going to work. Yeah, I blame Google and autocorrect. I figured since last Dave is already settled in at the foot of the bed, I'd show you guys this amazing picture. And what's really cool is if you guys knew the layout of the bathroom, you could tell what was what. If you look in his eyes, you can see both Mabu and myself. Man, that is totally like a National Geographic quality picture of a cat. So I had to show you guys that. And here's Dave when he's not on camera. Well, not I'm planning on being on camera. He wasn't camera ready, as you can tell. It's like Everett when you talk about Captain Black Grape, he's like, Thank you, Patrick. And here's another cute cat. I imagine, Patrick, that was your face. Oh, thank you, buddy. Yes, he is. He's an awesome cat. And he is a really good seizure cat because he doesn't have them, but he knows when I'm going to have some of the bigger ones. So he's been awesome. I imagine this is Patrick when he first got the full flavor of Mordor. He's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And here's the man himself. All right, Hillbilly. Thank you so much for your friendship, your brotherhood, and being in the live, and for spoiling the heck out of me with wonderful cigars, showing me what I should be looking for whenever I do get the chance to look for more cigars. I appreciate you, buddy, so much. You're buddy. You see that? You're brother and buddy at the same time. I appreciate it, Donnie. You have a great night. And here's a nice smile for everybody in here. Yeah, that's how I feel about you guys. Like, that's my group. And here's Donnie before he heads out, if he didn't already. I need to do that again. I need Mabu to braid my, or to, Viking up my beard one of these days. Thank you, Donnie. Sleep good, buddy. Maybe I'll have some time we can chat a little tomorrow. If not, then pretty soon, I'm sure. Yes, you're Peterson Phoenix, I believe. Let's look again. Oh, where is the picture? There we go. Oh, yeah. That's the Phoenix. You can tell with those grooves. That is a pipe style I do want to do, is the custom built grooves. I'm comfortable doing those now. I might do like a custom built rustication on maybe like a Dublin would be kind of cool. And here's an honorary picture. Oh man, well, RD, I hope it treats you right this time. I've had blends like that. One day they're not right, the next day they're great. Rusticated bent apple. And here's because I've been ornery to him. Look at that. See, you got to be ornery to this guy though. That smile. He's a kind dude, so you gotta keep him humble, because it'll go to his head and he'll just realize how awesome he is. I do need to get some of my later pipes pictures on here to show you guys, to show people in the chat, because they are gorgeous. And I'm just tooting my own horn because I am proud. Because if you make a pipe and you know it's going to smoke good and everything went right and you want to keep it, you should be proud of it and show it off. Dude, Everett knows good blends. There may be a blend you don't agree with, but usually if he recommends a blend, that says a lot for the blend. He knows quality. Now, given, and he will admit, haunted bookshop's not everybody's cup of tea, but he recommends good blends. That's a picture from our deck. That is the least snowy it's been in 2 months. That's a gorgeous sunrise. Something really good that Hillbilly made me fall in love with is taking regular haunted bookshop, pressing it for about a month. I did a review on it. I will post the video. I'll actually start posting it. I was making sure the Yabo video was posted, so I didn't give anything away. And it really surprised me how good it was. Thank you, Smarty Bob. I'm going to put it up again. If anybody has any disagreements, it won't be up there forever. How about that? Welcome you. The title of this seems like it's clickbaity, but I didn't know how else to word it, so it's not clickbait. It just is the only way I can think of to word it, because this is what it is, but it's kind of not. That's okay. So, Captain Kirk. They did make a pressed haunted bookshop. Yes, there is a haunted bookshop cake. And Hillbilly Piper is like me. He likes to press good blends and see what happens. So he loves haunted bookshop, just the regular ribbon cup, the original haunted bookshop. So he took that and pressed it into a puck. And you'll see in my review, but it is amazing. I describe it there very well. I'm posting it both on YouTube and Instagram right now. It's really good. Really, really good. Surprisingly good after a month of being pressed. How good that is. Now, this haunted bookshop was 6 months old, so it had some age on it anyway, but it was pressed for a month. And it is now my favorite way to use haunted bookshop. So when I do get some more haunted bookshop, I intend to press the entire, at least the total entire amount of the container, because I have some in here, not a ton. About an ounce and a half, maybe an ounce. So I will, whenever I get another tub, I'll press however many pucks it makes, because I like to keep them a manageable size, and then I'll put them in a jar, and then just take one out and put it in a tin, just an emptied tin from another blend. Yes, that's right. You can get it in a bulk, not a tub. I appreciate that, Patrick. I couldn't think of the word bulk. So whenever I do get more, I will press a bunch, put it in a jar, leave it alone for at least a month or two, then put a puck at a time in a tin and use it that way, because for me, it was much more enjoyable. I didn't have problems with it before, but it's even smoother, less likely to bite, and a little bit tastier, in my opinion, once it's been pressed like that. I do the same thing, man. So it's 75% on Instagram, which is usually slower than YouTube. So it's about posted already. It's around 10 minutes, something like that. But it's a good review. And I even include what I would rate it versus just regular haunted bookshop unpressed. And I, when I rate tobacco blends, I rate it on how well it was blended, how well it was conceived, how well it delivered, what its intention was. So even if it's a blend I don't like, if it's a good quality blend, it will get the recognition it deserves. It will get a rating it deserves. I'm very hard on tobaccos when I rate them. So you may see a review video and I might give it 3 stars. That doesn't mean it's a bad blend. I take into account everything from how the retrohale is to do the components fight each other? Does it make sense if they fight each other? How's the blend work? How's the room note, the tin note, the immediate note as you're smoking? How is it with the retrohale when you retrohale and then do the light puffs after? How is that? Is there dimension? Everything goes into those ratings. So for a blend to be 5-star, which is my highest rating, it has to check correctly on everything, and then has to have something, that X factor that you can't explain, that just sets it above. It has to have that, or it's not 5-star. It can be a great blend, and I could give it a 4.5-star. If it doesn't hit that X factor being amazing, it's not 5-star. That's probably true, Patrick. I am very scrutinous when it comes to my blends, to any blends. Part of the reason I started getting into blending more was I was disappointed by some blends that I expected to be better. And I look at reviews. There are people 50-50. Some people love reviews. They can see people's takes on reviews and gauge if they're a reliable source. And there are people that don't like reviews because they say, well, you don't know till you smoke it. Well, that's true. There's truth in both. But if my blends don't hit 3 stars, unless that, like, I might give them a rating and then a personal rating. But if they aren't good enough, if they just aren't going to be pretty good, at least more than decent, they don't hit the notebook. Bob, thank you for joining in, brother. Hey, I got a picture of Bob on here too. I think this is, it's the one. Bob has caught a fish large enough to have eaten a dog before getting caught. Sounds terrible, but that is a huge fish. Have a great night, Bob. I wish you the best of luck and continued success from your surgeries. If you have a day you're not sure, use the cane. No one's going to fault you. But I'm really glad to hear you've been doing great. Take care of yourself, buddy. You're always in our thoughts and prayers, always. And I appreciate the support. You've been awesome. And I hope that pipe smoke's good for you forever. I do agree with you there, Patrick. I think that's the biggest reason that they have such a varied following. A lot of, they have a lot to offer from everything, every scope. They have tobaccos for everybody. But I feel that's a big thing, is that a lot of them just need age. I don't want them to stop the small batches. I understand if they have a certain amount enough for so many tins, I get it. And some of their best blends are their small batches. And a company has to make money. A business has to make money, or they can't pay employees. I'm not going to fault them for how they do business if it's keeping them going. So I'm going to get that out of the way. But I do agree that if they have the blends they have now, if they go online, spend a little bit of time doing some research and seeing that most people agree that there are several what I call cookie cutter blends, where they have a base blend that's good enough to be its own blend. And then they decide, we're going to take this one blend, we're going to make it into 20 different blends. It's all the same base components. This one's cherry, this one's grape, this one's midnight, this one's adding toppings onto it. I do understand from a blending perspective that sometimes you have a great base blend and it's really receptive to flavors or casing in a specific way or toppings. I get that. If they take their best quality blends, the aged blends, the favorites, the ones people seek out more, they take their best 80 blends, they make them regularly available, and they go over to their cookie cutter blends and maybe have one version, like their best seller, where the flavor is really good with whatever topping for people who like the topping ones, because I get it. There are people who like topped blends and the topping may not bother them. There's some blends I love that are topped. There are some blends I don't love because they're topped or because it has a chemical reaction that doesn't agree with me. But I feel that they need to age. I feel like they could take their base blend for several of the flavor, the toppings that top over it. They could make that its own blend and sell that, and it'd be probably be more popular than most of the flavored blends that involve that base blend. Keep the flavored couple of blends that are most popular. Okay. I get that. And my couple, it might be 10 or 20. I don't know. But just into perspective. I did it. I let my cigar go out. And if they focus on the quality, they're going to be much better off. They don't need to kick out new blends all the time. Small batch, I get it. They want to get a feel for how a blend's going to do. Now, once you do a small batch, if it's successful, I would imagine, because some of them have been so stinking good, that you would try to get those in. And maybe they do. I don't know the details. I'm not going to demonize them. And I know nobody is. We're all fans. When you're a fan of something, you want to see it succeed. You want it to do its best. You want it to remain optimal. It's the same case for Star Trek and Star Wars fans. It's the same case for Spider-Man and DC fans and Avengers fans and all that. It's the same. You want them to succeed and do well. When you see quality being overdone by quantity, it ruins a lot of things. And that is also true. They have a lot more going on behind the scenes than we know. But I really believe they could make some positive changes that would increase their sales. Again, I'm not in it. So, who knows? It could be speculation from my point of view compared to what they actually have to go with. I don't know. But they're hurting themselves by not aging tobaccos enough. When you get a Virginia or you get a blend that should be good, and despite the description, it's really bitey, or you're not getting the flavor, or you get a goopy light and then the topping burns off and it leaves. You guys know that taste where it's almost like a permachar, kind of tastes like it's scorched the last 3/4 of the way through. That flavoring is the one that I will dump a pipe out. I'll try to smoke through it. I'll take a couple of last big draws to get whatever flavor I can. I hate to waste things. And I'll dump it. And sometimes I'll at least get the ash and the charred pieces out, and then I'll put whatever smokable into something and blend it in and use it. But when you got blends that are so bad that most people, that's all you hear them talk about, when one person out of every 20 likes the blend, and you have a lot of people that don't like the blend, maybe they need to react to that. Right. He's come up with some brilliant ways where if they can't blend it, they help the person blend it. And they don't have to tell them the amounts, they don't have to go in specifics. they can send the amounts and say, blend this together and do this. Or here's these, they can give them hints or tips how to make it. Now, they're going to leave something out because they can't give away their trade secret for everything. But they can send you with the kit and say, put this, put A by this amount, spray B by this amount. They don't even have to really label it. I haven't had a blending kit, so I don't know. But they're smart. Russ is a smart guy. I have a lot of respect for him. I don't always totally 100% love a blend he comes up with, but I have a lot of respect for him because he does his blends well. It may just not be for me entirely, but I've never had any of his blends that I detest. I've had C&D blends I detest, and I've had some I love, and some kind of in between. But it's usually love or hate. But they have some really great blends. I mean, one of my best rated blends that is not mine is Sunbear. Sunbear was well done. It was absolutely well done. San Sepulcro was well done. Those are great works of art. Which one is that? I want to say Newminster 400. It's the Red Virginia Superior Flake. There are some really well done blends out there. And, I would think a blending company would want to stay totally on top. And I'm not going to pretend to know it all. But I am going to support them and wish them well and move on from there. True. GL Peace has a really good way of doing things. I've really enjoyed their blends. They're one of the best blending houses. Old Shenandoah is a great blending house. A lot of aromatics are fantastic. H McBaron and H and Hearth and Home are really great blending houses. Scotty's is a great blending house or brand. Even their topped Scotty's Trout Stream. Not only is the topping great, but the blend underneath is great. It works with the topping. It isn't combated or covered by the topping. And this is where I disagree with a lot of blends. I prefer to case my blends over toppings. And I believe it was Russell Lett. I may remember the wrong person, forgive me. I believe it was Russell Lett. Excuse me. Who said something along the lines of, casing is to change, I'm trying to think of how he worded it exactly. I'm going to be off, I know it. But basically, topping is to alter the taste a certain way, steer it a certain direction. Casing is to slightly affect the blend overall. When I made lemon chocolate cake, that is cased. There's no topping. I case the things that are in there. I do not add a flavoring. Everything I add to it during the casing process is for casing it with those flavors. There is no topping. There's nothing added on on the surface, because its surface is superficial. It's what's on the outside. Does it represent down to what the blend is made of? Does it represent the quality? When you light it, is that topping telling you, hey, something good is in store? This is going to draw it out. It gets your attention and draws out from it. Because that does happen in some cases, but a lot of cases, maybe not most, I don't know. A lot of cases, toppings ruin a blend. Yeah, not most cases. Not most cases. There are a lot of brands and blending houses I do forget about sometimes. Most cases, topped blends are enjoyed by many people. So part of this is I'm speaking on the experiences I've had. But watching a lot of Russ and other people talk about blends, I don't want to add a topping. The reason I say that is if I were to add a topping, it's going to be something natural. It wouldn't be, what is that? What is that called? It's notorious for bothering people. Propylene glycol, I think it is. I think that's right. That sounds right. Why not natural ingredients? They're raising prices of blends anyway. Why not make them outstanding so that people get their pay's worth in quality? If you're going to spend $20 to $30 on a tin, shouldn't it be fantastic? Would you be more willing to spend $20 to $30 on a tin if you know it's going to be fantastic? Because toppings are hit or miss. And for me, the blend is either good with the topping or it's bad. And it might be bad because it might have a great flavor, but it might be the chemical reaction. C&D mocha is a perfect case. A lot of people like it. But I couldn't hardly smoke an eighth of a bowl, if even that, because it actually bothered my mind. It was making my seizures become more apparent. It's like, whoa, this is not good. So I dumped out the rest in that bowl, closed the tin, and it's away. It's just short one bowl. Great Dane had great flavor. That was Missouri Meerschaum. Great flavor, but it bothered my mind. So it doesn't mean that the blend isn't good and that other people won't enjoy it, but it ruined it for me. But I can turn around and smoke Scotty's Trout Stream and have no problems. It's delicious. So like I said, I cased the ingredients that I have for lemon chocolate cake. Yes, there's a great base blend in there, and it's fantastic on its own. It's actually known as the Drop Bear. It's a blend that Glenn had an idea for. He said, I'd never had a blend that was good that had these components. So I got what he was asking about and nailed it, and it's really good with flavorings. So in some blends, I've used real lemon juice. In some blends, I've used rum. I've done honey blends, some other stuff like that, but done a casing process, and takes about a week, and it's amazing. And you can taste the base blend. You can taste everything as if there's a topping coming from the tobacco. It's not anything on top of it. So when you're smoking it, you're getting the tobacco with that other stuff. Like the fudge brownie has absolutely no topping. That fudge brownie is from the tobacco components themselves. I think one component might have a slight slight topping if I remember correctly, but it's very light. Isn't propylene glycol or whatever is not on it. But that is the only one component that may have anything on it. And it depends because I can change that to a different type. Yeah, that was my first smoke was in a cob. And that one I could get through about a third to a half of the bowl. And then it just bothered me, so I had to quit. But it was delicious. It was really good in a cob. It tasted great. Taste-wise, I had no problem with Great Dane. It was one of the better cherry blends out there. I enjoyed it a lot. I just couldn't handle the topping or what was in the topping. So if I do anything with like cherry, I'm going to use, oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Autumn evening destroys your mouth. Autumn evening can bother people, definitely. I prefer quiet nights. I like autumn evening, but I noticed it can be a little bitey, so I aging it. I'm leaving it alone for a while. Definitely in a jar, doggo. You can age them in a tin, but over time, the tin seal will fail. Whereas in a jar, over time, the tin will suction itself. Over time, it will pop. You'll hear it ding every once in a while. It will actually seal itself completely and work the air out. Now, what I do if I'm going to put a tobacco in a jar is I'll take one drop of just original Dawn dish soap and hot water. I'll put it in the jar. I'll add the hot water almost all the way full. I'll leave a couple inches of space. I'll put the lid on. I'll shake it vigorously, dump it out. Where there's still soap residue in there, I'll do it again. I'll take it off. I'll put the lid on after filling it again, shake it up. And then as I'm dumping it, I will totally dismantle the lid and scrub the seal, the inside of the lid, the outside, all along the rim on the inside, all around those ridges on the outside of the lid, the jar itself. And then I will dry it really well. And then I will put a paper towel or two rolled up in there, just rolled. So it's almost like a wick, just rolled and leave it in vertically. Put the lid on loosely and leave it set for a little bit to absorb any moisture. You don't want any moisture left in there, but then it's a sterile jar. The hot water helps. The Dawn dish soap helps. Then you won't get mold. And the reason I say you won't is because if you do it that way, I've never had mold in anything I've jarred, ever. And mold likes moist tobacco, and a lot of tobacco has some moisture in it, even a small amount, mold likes it. So when I've done it that way, I never get mold. Now I've had jars or had tins sealed. I've had some that are years old. I think the oldest tin I had was like 14 years. And it was dry. The seal did give. You can even put a clear sealant around the edge. Some people do that around this little rim. They put a clear seal like from the top of here down to here, go around it. That's great, but at some point, tins can start to rust as well. And not all tins are putting in those papers anymore or the little paper lids to absorb any excess moisture. They used to pretty much all do it, and less they're using it. A jar is way better to go. It will age better in a jar. It will progress faster in a jar, and it will last forever in a jar. So I'm sorry it took so long to answer that, but that is without a doubt, from what I've gathered from many people experienced with cellaring and from what I've done, and the flavor gets better and better. It's much better in a jar. You always want to go, if you're going to keep it a long time, if you're going to keep it a couple years in a tin, that's fine. If you're planning on it being cellared for 4 or 5 years or more, if it's something you're going to want to sell, sure, keep it in the tin. If you've got a bunch of them and they're sealed good and you're not sure you're going to keep them, leave them in the tin, because they're going to sell at better value if it's in an unsealed or an unopened tin. If you're going to keep it for yourself, and I mean, people are understanding. You can get 5 tins of something and put them in a jar and put a date on it and just let people know, hey, I got this tobacco. I put it in a jar to keep it fresh. And a lot of people do appreciate that. If you say this is 10 years aged and I put it in a jar, if you're honest with them and you did everything right, were really clean with it and stored it, a lot of people are going to appreciate that more. And you'll have value in that more in some cases than leaving it in a tin. But if you're thinking 5 years or more, definitely a jar. It's much better. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having it in a jar if you're keeping it, in a fairly cool area. Jars do well in most temperatures. They do good in shops and basements and stuff like that. They do good in moderately temperatured living rooms and stuff like that. I've got jars on my bookshelf here of different things. But they do well. And I've done that in the past. I had a bunch of, I don't remember what it was. I had a couple of times they had some tobaccos really good priced, better quality than I expected. And I had, in some cases, for some of those blends, I had 4 jars worth. And at one point, I said, hey, if anybody's interested in a jar, I'll get some to you. It's been agent since this time. I've got dates. I'll usually just put something on paper, write what it is, and write the date, either that I got it usually, or if they confirmed on whatever I got it from, how old it was, then I'll put that date in and I'll say rejarred at this date or jarred at this date or whatever. And that everything's been getting better for me. The only thing that doesn't age well is Captain Black Grape. That stuff is not a favorite of mine. I didn't hate it. Still don't hate it. I joke about it a lot, but it does get worse with age. Oh, nice. Some of your jars are rusting. Well, and jar lids will, over a long time, the seals will go bad. Those orange seals will start to crack and you need to find seals or new lids. And it could have been how they were made. I don't know. I haven't had that happen yet myself. Doesn't mean it doesn't, obviously. If it's happening to you, then it's happened. But I haven't had that yet. Maybe they were in storage in a high humidity kind of area. That could be the case. When I used to work with stock and stuff like that, you had trucks go from one end of the country to another, or from out of the country to where you're at, and you don't know the conditions of the vehicles, conditions things were stored in, how long. The jars have an infinite shelf life. You don't know how long they were How many pallets of jars did they buy that they were reselling? Had they been kept in a decent area or not? I don't know. Ball jars are a good brand. They've done pretty well. I don't know if that's the brand, the lid that you've had problems with. Once you wash them, it is very important to really dry them well. And when you think they're totally dry, still leave a couple of paper towels in there, seal it, and call it good. And if you're really unsure, feel free to load a jar of tobacco and leave like a half you get paper towels, they come in those perforated halves. Leave a half of one of there rolled up in the top and then seal it with that. So any moisture trying to condense, if you got a lot of heat, you'll get condensation that will stick to the lid. That could happen. Where my jars are, we don't have a lot of heat, so they're fine. Everywhere is pretty cool. So if the lids are rusting and causing an issue, maybe try that. Maybe the moisture in the tobacco slowly over time is getting to the lids. They are metal, and metal rusts with a lot of moisture. Maybe that's the reason. I would say pick up some lids and throw it could be, because that is something early on I didn't do, was put the paper towel in, and even shaking all the pieces off. You got the lid, the sealed, the inner lid or whatever, the little topper that fills in the circle of the rim of the lid, and then the jar. So you got those three pieces. I've shaken them off and dried them with a towel, and then I almost didn't go back, but I took a paper towel and really got under those, the rim really well, and in those bumps, and there was still moisture when I really didn't think there was any more moisture, even after drying them a bunch with a towel. And so then I decided after that, I thought, if I put my hand in it and I go, hey, maybe there's moisture, I can't tell. From that point on, after a few, now most of my early ones are here. The ones that I'm jarring to blend with or to blend with for other people, any jars I use now, I put paper towels in at the end, leave them for 10 or 15 minutes or until I'm going to use them. But then no more than a day after, I take those, usually not even a day after, usually it's within 20 hours or whatever. I take the paper towel out. And if I want to, I'll take another paper towel and wipe it again, because leaving the damp paper towel in there can also allow moisture to stay. So it could be, because it does not take much. So these are bone dry, sterilized, totally dry. Yeah. And I even press and go around with paper towels on the rings and all that. Every little groove, everywhere I wouldn't even think there would be moisture. I get paranoid about it, and it takes care of it. So it could be that if it's the lids, you could also see where, because it's easy to forget. It's easy to dry and think it's dry enough on the inside of those rims, then put it on there, and then that moisture's trapped. It's getting no air exposure, and maybe it just isn't finishing drying. That would be my first guess. Because generally the tobacco on its own, even if it's pretty moist, I mean, if it's a really moist one, what's a good example? Creme brulee. A lot of people get creme brulee and it's pretty moist. If you're going to, you can leave that in a bag when you order it for a while, a month or so, and it will slowly dry more, just seeping through the bag. Just the air seeping into the bag will help dry it. And if it's going to be moist, like if you can see the moisture on the edge of the jar, yeah, put a paper towel in there. And then every once in a while, maybe turn it upside down so that any moisture goes down to a paper towel over a couple of days. Turn it back over, replace the paper towel until it gets rid of the excess tobacco moisture, and then remove a paper towel and you're good, or leave a tiny piece in there. So that may help you. I haven't had any issues yet, knock on wood. I'm gonna knock on my TV tray, my wooden tamper, and this OMS pipe. So far, I haven't had any issues, but if you're paranoid about it, it will help you. You know, it's not good to be paranoid in general, but for some things it is. For pipe making and blending and cellaring, it is good to be paranoid. Well, I am going to go to bed. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free, send me a message on Instagram. I will. Yeah, and that one is one I'd leave out to dry for a half hour or so before you smoke it. Ooh, I hope you love Retribution. That is one of my favorites. It is one when I can't think of what else to smoke, or if that's the first thing that comes to mind, I smoke that and it hits the spot every time. It's fantastic. I smoke it probably once or twice a week, but it's an excellent one. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with me, your smokes, your questions. So my Instagram is all lowercase. There's no apostrophe in Briar'd, and it's just all _Briar'd_up. My email is in my about section on YouTube. If you have any questions, message me anytime. I'm happy to help. Whether it's blending or tips on pipe making or whatever, or stem work, if I don't know the answer, I know somebody who does, and I can get you to the right person. Because I don't know everything, but I know where to find the answers, or know who you refer you to best that I've dealt with, if I don't have the answers. God bless you guys as well. Thank you, Papa Bear. And thank you, Patrick. I appreciate your guys' time so much. This helps me relax a lot in the evening, and I always look forward to Saturdays and Tuesdays and the random lives and meets and stuff like that, for this very reason. It's great to know you guys. And you guys have been so welcoming. When I started this channel, and I won't waste much more of your time here, just a little bit. My intention was maybe I can find one person that wants to regularly share a pipe. If it's one person, that's good enough. And it's ballooned into this amazing community of friends and new supporters and regular supporters and people I've known right out of the gate. You guys have been awesome people, and it's made my life a lot better. So thank you all. Be safe. Enjoy your evening. Again, any questions, I'm never going to turn down anybody's questions. I'll answer the best I can. Feel free to ask. I'm here to help. But thank you. Enjoy your smokes and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Stay warm for me. If you got good weather, hang on to it. It's stupid cold here. It is minus 14 degrees. So stay warm and have a good night. Troy, Patrick, Papa Bear, Hillbilly, everybody who's been in here, RD, everyone. God bless you and take care.